Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Ben, and joining me for this holiday horror double feature review is Kat from the Phantasmagorium Show. Hey, Kat.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. I think you and I are the only ones that saw both of these movies last week. Um,
Yes.
Lot to talk about. It's really cool. I wasn't ready for the holidays, Kat. I think It's a Wonderful Knife put me in that a little bit because it's very colorful. So yeah, we're doing a double feature of It's a Wonderful Knife. I know not a lot of people know about it. It's a really small movie, a little independent, I guess. Is it what? Oh, it's a Shutter movie. That's right.
Shutter.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
so I
Shudder
think it's
movie.
going to Shutter once it's done.
Oh, I'm sure it's probably going to be there this week or Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, I wanted to double feature it with Thanksgiving. I was going to watch Thanksgiving first and then It's a Wonderful Knife back to back holidays, but it was only in theaters up here for like a week, so I couldn't do it. So I
Yeah,
had to race out. I found out literally at the last minute that, oh, this is the last night that It's a Wonderful Knife is playing here, so I ran out to go see it.
I originally had thought that this was from the director of Freaky, but it's not. It's kind of a newcomer who his name is Tyler McCantry. Okay, we'll get into this one. So it's sort of loosely a horror movie centered on the basic theme of It's a Wonderful Life, obviously from the title, but it's
Okay.
very different. It doesn't do it exactly the same way, which is good. It's fantastical and it's a fantasy, but it's also a slasher.
So I liked the plotting of it. Like for those who don't know, It's a Wonderful Life is a movie that takes 90 minutes before you get to the big moment where he says, "I wish I was never born," and then they rush that whole iconic climax with Clarence and all that in like half hour. This movie doesn't do that. It spends like maybe half an hour on establishing the world and what's going on with this character and why she's frustrated. It's hilarious, especially with Justin Long is the total spray tan jerk mayor of the
He's the
town.
best. He's the best in this movie.
He's the
So
best in this movie. And
yeah.
then about half hour in is when she wishes she was never born because of the ever since she saved the town from some maniacal killer, nobody seems to care about processing trauma. They just want to move on, and everybody thinks she's weird for still dealing with it.
Which
And
is weird. Which is kind of strange. It's kind of
yeah, and how
strange.
it gets to weird moments like where parents are showing extreme favoritism towards the son over the daughter. It's like,
Yeah. The father was written very weird. I didn't quite get it because he's a
yeah, in the
really
beginning
good.
I didn't get it, and then when they reveal the more supernatural thing of what the villain is doing, and it's like, okay, but it was real. I thought it was really funny in the beginning in the setup. I thought it dragged a bit in the middle, and it didn't really pick up with the laughs again until Justin Long comes back. But I did appreciate the twist of how, oh, I'm George Bailey, and it's like, well, no, you're not really George Bailey. It's like, oh, this other character is, and I like how they kind of
Yeah, you're the
play that out.
angel. Yeah.
Yeah, the angel, and that I thought that's really clever. How it's not just the same thing that's been done to death by every sitcom, known to man has done the "It's a Wonderful Life" episode. But I thought this was really clever, and it was one of those why didn't I think of that before type of ideas, for like a horror movie or whatever. I admit I would not have pegged a slasher movie for this type of.
And the name is right there. It's brilliant. It's
Yeah,
simple and brilliant.
yeah, and it's perfectly set up, and I like how it's not just like a contrived reason why the town turns into like Pottersville when George Bailey wishes he's never born. It's like, oh, it makes sense. The mayor, these people are trying to buy out the whole town and blah blah blah, and you're seeing how that's. And so I thought it was really funny. Uh, some of it is a bit much, like when it takes quite a long time for the protagonist to catch on to what's going on. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you saw yourself enveloped in like the north, all this insane supernatural stuff, and you're still it's like, come on, catch up to the premise, so to speak. But it was really clever for a what certainly is a Shutter film, probably meant to go to streaming.
It could have squandered its premise, and though
Yeah,
it didn't take full advantage of it,
yeah,
it didn't squander it like something like Pooh, Blood and Honey, where it's just
oh
like, oh, we're
god,
going to do this, but we're not going to put any effort into anything. We're just going to use the name and hope people come and see it. If people haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life, just like Kat said, it's towards the end of the movie where that theme actually happens, and it's not a Christmas movie until
no,
that time either. I love it. It's a great Frank Capra movie, but this movie pukes Christmas. It's Christmas all the way through. What I like about both of these movies, Kat, there's a lot of similarities. They both have very long cold opens before the title comes up of the movie. A big, nice setup. I love it when a slasher movie does that. It sets up the situation and then gives you the title, and both of them have that 1 year later. Both of them. There's an inciting incident, and then there's a 1 year later.
1 year later.
It's great. But yeah, this one, I love the way it looks. I think it's colorful. I think it's well shot. You know, when they show the big drone shots of the town, it looks great. I don't know if that's a miniature or just a CGI shot or if it's a real town, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, and it's almost like with the design being in like a little gully or whatever, they're making it look like a town that you'd see in a snow globe, you know?
Yeah, like it exists by itself somewhere.
Yeah, and I like that they use a very cool blue color temperature throughout the movie to further emphasize that this is a very Christmassy type story, and things getting even dimmer and darker when all the horrible stuff starts happening and you see the the blue tenor to everything.
And because it doesn't go super disturbing or gory like our pal Thanksgiving does, it does still kind of feel fun and fluffy like a holiday movie, because it's not super grim. It's more fun and comical than it is like scary, because I didn't find it particularly scary. I do like the design of the angel, as they were calling it. It's very much like the white version of Scream, of the Scream killer, of Ghostface. It's almost, kind of the same thing, which is one of my problems. Like, how come that thing wasn't just covered in blood pretty much the entire time? Because it's all
Yeah, it was cool looking, and I thought they also could have pushed the satire a bit further and the humor of it.
I think the big thing for me is how the people she knows haven't changed that much. Almost everyone's the same. It's like, well, if you didn't exist, everything changes. Everything splinters into different areas, and there wasn't really a big change.
Well, I remember when she goes to
the parents for sure.
Well, when she goes to the party again, it's very different because everybody's like on crack.
Which is great, because that's so much like It's a Wonderful Life, where Potterville gets taken over by Drew Barrymore's great grandfather, and the whole town's kind of shitty.
Yeah, and you're kind of seeing that here with the mayor having bought everybody out with his campaign slogan, "I'm the best, fuck the rest."
Yeah, Justin Long, God bless him.
Oh yeah, he was such a scene stealer in this movie.
That's 2 for 2 for him, like stealing a horror movie right out from under everyone with Barbarian. Again, not very gory, and I think that was a good decision, because there's good death scenes, but it's not very bloody. There's more splatter than there is actual like physical contact kills.
I did very much like there's a sequence in the movie theater where the lights all go out, and you have like using a flashbulb camera to try.
That was giving me dizzy, man. I'm like, that's the only part where I thought it was really a bit of a chill. Like, oh, this is scary. This is really cool.
So this movie has some ideas, but it doesn't pull them together as well as it could. But it is still pretty fun for what it is.
Yeah, aside from Justin Long, the weirdo girl I thought was a scene stealer too. She was really funny. Catherine Isabel was in this as the aunt, and she was in the Ginger Snaps movies. And for a second there, I was like, "Is that her from Ginger Snaps?" Because she's a lot older.
I recognized her, but I didn't know where I'd seen. I've seen her in a lot of bit roles in other movies. I just can't remember them off the top of my head. But it was kind of bugging me.
She's the werewolf Ginger Snap girl from 2000. Yeah.
Yeah, but I also liked the fact that they did have 2 unknowns for the lead.
And the lead was great. Jane Widdop. She was really good. They're always casting these horror movies fantastic lately. It's good. It's very entertaining. I'll watch it around the holidays for sure. It's a good movie. Like, it'll be on Shudder. Yeah, like, I got it right here too.
I just noticed you had it there.
The original one. Yeah. All right. So, the real granddaddy, just surprised the shit out of me, Kat, was a filmmaker I'm not really a big fan of, Eli Roth. I don't like his movies. I think he's mean-spirited. He brings out the awful in people, but it worked in this movie because of that. And when you said you were going to see it, and I had seen it already, I didn't want to spoil how insane and intense that first half hour is. It's just bonkers.
I don't know if it's my dark sense of humor or what, but I thought the Black Friday sequence was hysterical.
It was dude, me and the people I saw it with were cracking. The whole theater was cracking up during that scene, because it's just awful people, like, just brought up to an 11.
All all of the stuff happening there was just hilarious. And
it was also like anxiety. It was driving me crazy because of all the shit that was going on. And the sad news is this not a very far cry from how these Black Friday sales really happen in real life. I mean, shit like that has happened before. But there's an inciting incident where it's a Black Friday sale, and everyone in this town is just, I mean, you must have counted like 100 fuck words in that opening like 2 minutes.
Fuck shit.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Everyone's screaming at each other, and then they mob the store, and people get killed in the store. And it's a great setup because it gives you good geography of where people are, because this is the inciting incident that's ultimately going to create like a serial killer. And then like the other one, it jumps 1 year.
1 year later.
And both of these movies have really cool original slasher characters. This one has the Pilgrim. What do they call him?
John Carver.
Yeah, John Carver. Yeah. This one obviously was way more menacing and terrifying. Way more. In all the best possible ways.
Again, I found most of it just hilarious because of what's going on and the fact that it was easy to root for him to kill some of the people he was going after, at least the first victim in particular. But it was just like, oh god, it is such a unique setup as well. It's like, oh, somebody are they out for revenge against the Black Friday people? Are they just trying to ruin the town's holiday because they're upset? And one of the things I started picking up on really quickly was that all the like jackass people in the story had Massachusetts accents.
My boy's wicked smart.
It's supposed to be in Plymouth, right?
Yeah, Plymouth, because in Plymouth Rock and the first Thanksgiving was there, and I found it really funny when they're setting up the rivalry between the two schools and Hanover and Plymouth, and then like bunch of massholes fighting about their massholes. This is just great.
But there's so much setup in this movie that's so clever.
But that's the thing, is there's so many different avenues, because it is a whodunit. It's a mystery, and there's so many different avenues to go down to figure out like who's the red herring. Is this guy maybe is this person seems a little, I'm not gonna say who, but there was something. I did guess it pretty early.
This is what a Scream movie should be, where you set up an incident, because Scream movies just start and then they exposition dump at the end. Instead, this one gives you something that happens and gives the entire cast of people motivations. And you really are guessing throughout the whole thing. Is it more than one person?
And how there are other side characters who are just kind of there for fun, like the guy who has hosting a party and he's just bragging about how he's going to give alcohol. Oh, I'm not going to sell guns at the high school. Are you crazy? I'll sell alcohol though.
It's just really crafty, and I got to say, you can disagree with me. Maybe I'm not sure what your stance is on this. I thought the characters were smart. For the most part, they made good decisions, and even some of the side characters. There's something that doesn't happen in this movie that happens in so many slasher movies. We'll talk about it offline because I don't want to give it away. But you're introduced to a bunch of teenagers, and then something doesn't happen that usually always happens, and I'll leave it at that. Gina Gershon, and then you have obviously Patrick Dempsey, sure. And then what's his name? He was so good in this. Rick Hoffman. He's been in some.
Rick Hoffman. He's been in a lot of Eli's movies.
Yeah, he was good. He was really good in this. And man, one of my favorite characters, Kathleen, the stepmom, who goes starts out one way and completely ends up another way. And I'll leave it there at that. I mean, this is one I want to spoil the shit out. But again, I want people to see it, so I don't want to give it away. But the character I'm talking about, the stepmom. Really kind of interesting arc for that person. Obviously by necessity, but
yeah, and then I also, again, it goes to that thing where they're creating so many different characters who have not just motive, but then they'll do things very deliberate, like let's have a character disappear for a huge chunk of the movie to try and lead you into thinking that it might be this person, but then we'll do the same thing with another character. So you're constantly kind of going back and forth trying to figure out, like, is this a bigger conspiracy with more people involved? And then there's subtle things that happen that it's like, oh, maybe this, but then they also have all these nods to the classic fake trailer that inspired it. There will be no leftovers.
We haven't even talked about that. Yeah, this is a full-length movie of the Grindhouse trailer from 16 years ago, 17 years
Yeah,
ago.
they even used the same turkey costume from the parade in the trailer. You know?
Oh, that is one of my favorite. There's so many scenes in this movie that I could call my favorite. And I gotta say, for all those trailers in that Grindhouse movie, all those movies sucked that when they finally came out to me. I mean, Machete was a one note. It was fun for 10 minutes.
There were more trailers, but this is the third one they've done, and easily the best of those three films.
Yeah, it's its own movie completely. You don't even have to know about that trailer, you know?
Right, and it's being both a slasher film, a whodunit, and a comedy. Now, admittedly, I think the comedy is a lot higher in the first half, and then because the second half it feels like it's segueing more into a slasher horror type thing.
The tension's rising. Yeah, the urgency. Yeah.
Even though I wish that some of the stuff is hilarious, so I wish they.
Well, it gets pretty funny and disturbing at a certain dinner table. Like, you know,
I didn't get disturbed by that. I thought it was kind of funny, but it's like
I was laughing my ass off. Yeah,
yeah, and it really sharp dialogue for the most part for a lot of the humor too. Like it's a lot of the stuff that the teenagers are saying to each other and stuff.
And again, all the teenagers are utilized well. Like they're not just idiots that are going to get carved up. Like they all kind of have their own thing.
Right, and which was surprising because they start out as like these group of like douchebaggy kids who, we get into the store before the rest of you. We're better, and being morons. Like, and yet they end up making smart decisions when they're trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I think they get a lot of growth because of that incident that they feel so responsible for in a way. Like I do think when it jumps a year, they're all kind of different, you know, because you have the one boyfriend who's been estranged for a year, you know.
Yeah, and that's another great, you know, again, great tier. They came up with all these different avenues of to think about as to where it's going.
So many. I mean, especially the store manager who, you know, is married to the Gina Gershon character, and then that goes into a place he didn't, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to say it without spoiling it. Yeah.
It's done in a clever way that you don't really pick up on it when you're first watching it, and then it's like, of course.
Well, see, yeah, that's in any mystery. You have to have earned your outcome. You have to have earned your
reveal.
Your reveal. Like if you didn't, then it's just anybody could do that, you know, like people that are writing mysteries, they have to go over the story a million times going like, am I giving them enough information where they could actually figure it out on their own? Or am I just giving them nothing and then, hey, this is the killer? And it's like, well, we couldn't have put that together. So you're cheating, you know?
Yeah. And that's another nod to, I think, the original Scream, where they did give you a lot of clues as to who it was and why. So that way, when you finally did find out who the killer was and what the motive was, it's like, oh yeah, that was there from the beginning.
But there were so many motives for so many characters, which is
right.
Great.
And that's the great thing about Thanksgiving is I think even more so than Scream, there's so many more motives for characters to. I mean, up to a point. Sometimes it eventually gets to a point where it's like, wait, what's going on? And then it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna bring it back in. Okay, this is what people expect. They want it to feel more like the trailer. But at the same time, you can't be as absurdist as the trailer because it still has to feel like a believable world that the story's taking place in. Because, you know, it's Eli Roth. He wants it to be horror as well, not just, you know, gut bust laughs from start to finish. And the few bits of gore that are really, like, want to turn away, I feel are earned. Like, it's not like torture porn stuff. It's like it's really earned moments of gore. It's like,
I was so happy that he didn't go down that torture porn route. There's one scene with a meat cleaver where you're like, okay, I see where he's going. That's pretty crazy. I had told you that I thought there were some really legitimate jump scares. One in particular where two people are walking down a hallway in the school, and then because you're just not expecting it, and that's how it's supposed to happen. It's not a setup jump scare. It just comes out of nowhere.
Well, another thing I like that he does is that, unlike a lot of other horror directors who will set up an incoming scare by having the camera shift a bit, so that way the character you've been following is like on the right side of the screen when the foreground is on like the ominous door or window where somebody's at, and he doesn't do that. There's a couple times where the camera will be moving along fluidly, and you might catch out of the corner of the eye, you'll see John Carver, and it's not emphasized all the time. And I'm like, that's really good. Because a lot of film directors, they spoil their scares by suddenly doing a weird camera angle in the middle of a scene. Because like if you have a two characters talking back and forth, and then all of a sudden you cut to a wider shot because the monster or whatever is about to jump in. Well, then you ruin the scare before it happens because you make it obvious.
You're telegraphing it visually.
Right.
That's a good observation that you had during the movie, because I think this one even has a 1978 Halloween type of shot with a window in the background and the face coming up to the window, but it's not exaggerated. It's just subtle, and it's there, and it's not used with music, because music can ruin some, because music's telling you something's about to happen. Eli Roth, like, even though this is a shocking, hilarious movie about, I mean, just awful people for the most part, it feels classier than his other stuff, because they spent more time on story and people than on just gross, gory crap, you know?
Right, because I would agree that Hostel had a lot of great ideas in it in terms of what he was doing, in terms of a whole indictment on that, bro hooker type culture and how he's turning the tables on them type thing. This felt a lot more, like you said, it's a lot more classy. The way it's shot, it feels so much more professional. And a lot of his movies have felt like that in recent years. They're not like he's done a couple family films lately.
See, I haven't seen a lot of his work, so it's hard for me to. I do feel that he felt very confident and really owned the production of this movie, because it was really
it was also a passion project. He said this is a movie that he's wanted to make since he was 12 years old. Like, he and his buddy who co-wrote it, Jeff Rendell, they grew up together, and they said that this was because they grew up in the Northeast in Massachusetts around that whole culture. They thought their idea of their Thanksgiving plot was going to be that the boy falls in love with the turkey, and then the father kills it for the Thanksgiving dinner, so the kid goes to a mental institution and comes back and
Oh, fuck! I'm pissed! Your dog had an accident.
I could really feel the passion as I was watching this movie, because I could tell it was because obviously he has the technical merits to be able to at least direct a movie, as even some of his bad ones. But this, I could tell that he really spent a lot of time on it because he really wanted it to be something special.
It's very fun, and it really, really utilizes the holiday of Thanksgiving in all the best possible ways. To the audience, think of anything that could be used on Thanksgiving and figure out how could you kill someone with those things. They don't cheapen out with that and just make it a serial killer on Thanksgiving. It's witty in that. It's very creative.
Well, and it's again tied to the Thanksgiving holidays and things that happen around Thanksgiving in that way is a very intrinsic, important part of the story.
Yeah. I give him a lot of props for this movie. It's so much fun. It's one of the funnest slasher movies I've seen in a while.
And because of all those different avenues of investigation and the humor, it keeps it engaging a lot. It's not like a lot of paint-by-numbers slasher movies where it's just like, okay, the only thing you're watching it for are the kill scenes and the mystery of how are they going to kill the monster this time, and that's not really what it is. And I could see why people are saying it's like, in a way, like Scream in terms of plotting, in terms of mystery, and Halloween because it's about the holiday, even though this does a better job at marrying it to the holiday than Halloween does. And so that was they did a really good job. I highly recommend it. It's a very unique, his best film in terms of just the craftsmanship of it and being well made.
Yeah, pacing, acting, effectiveness of scares and gore, comedy, writing, the editing's really good. It's very claustrophobic when it comes to shot selection, whereas It's a Wonderful Knife is very expansive and large. And I like that. That's what a horror movie should be. It should keep you guessing, with a lot of close-ups, but with good tension, good lighting, and that editing. Like, editing horror is like editing comedy. Like, if your timing's off by a second, then that joke or that scare doesn't work, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, man. I was looking forward to it. I kept on calling it Thanksgiving because there's a movie called Thanksgiving.
Nice tits, bitch. Shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch! I'm gonna drink your blood like cranberry sauce, meanie. You just got stuffed! Gobble gobble, motherfucker.
I just think it's a really fun whodunit slasher. Really funny in the first half. Could have been funnier in the second half. I didn't really find it scary, but it was still fun. And that's what you want it to be, fun.
I fucking loved it. I had so much fun with it. I can't recommend it enough. If you're still not over Halloween, but you're moving slightly into the other holidays, it's perfect for that. It really is.
They're a great holiday double feature.
That's it. Yeah, right there. That's why we're reviewing them, folks, as a double feature. And we gave you non-spoiler reviews of these, so go check them out. I'm sure It's a Wonderful Knife will probably be on Shudder, which is an Amazon extension, probably next week, I'm guessing, but don't hold me to that. And Thanksgiving is out now. Go check it out this week. Go see it on Thanksgiving night with your in-laws.
Yeah, don't stay home for Thanksgiving dinner. Go rush off to the movies where
No, there's the best Thanksgiving dinner you will ever see in this movie.
Yes, the most famous Thanksgiving dinner since 1621.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Kat, for coming on.
Yeah, it's always fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Watch her on Phantasmagoria Show. I don't know what you guys have. Do you have anything coming up, or?
We just finished reviewing the first season of Fargo, and we're gonna start season 5 of Fargo. Starts airing next week, so we'll be reviewing those.
Great. So look for them on that link in the description. And happy holidays, everyone. At least happy Thanksgiving. And
Definitely.
We will talk to you next time. I'm Ben for Cinema Gulp. We drink your cinema.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker.